Just note this meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There'll be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. With that, I've asked Mr. Clauser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have roll call. All members are present, and we have a quorum. Mrs. Jones, could you lead us in the mission statement?
Yes. Lebanon Community School Corporations challenges everyone every day to reach a new best.
We now have a presentation from the Madrigals as they welcome us into this holiday season.
Here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. Here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God sends you a happy new year.
we close with pretty much every year. It was so funny this year. I was like, I don't think we'll do this one this year. And they're like, oh, we have to do it.
That's right.
So we'll close this one. We wish you all a very happy holiday. Thank you for inviting us again this year.
Thank you very much. Always look forward to that. I think maybe we should just put that as an agenda item every month. What do you think? Yeah. Next, we have approval of minutes for the November 21st regular meeting. Do we have that was included in your board packet? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
Second. Go for it.
Who was the second? Mrs. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have superintendent's announcements and celebrations.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Just a few this evening, some celebrations. First, wanted to congratulate our FFA once again for bringing home some awards and advancing the welding team to state finals, and some information in your packet. Congratulations to Kira King, Tate Della Rosa, Gabby Deacons, Maddie Kelly, and the beginners team, Thomas Thompson and Levi Pittman, for their accomplishments at the state competition. We were, I believe, able to host that with our recently constructed welding lab here, so it was nice to be able to put that on display as well. Congratulations, of course, to our own Emma Hornbecker, who was named as one of the 2 Boone County Lilly Scholarship winners. You've seen some of the social media posts from the Community Foundation as well as Lebanon Schools. We'll be inviting her to the board meeting so you can offer your congratulations in person at our next meeting. But of course, that's an outstanding accomplishment. I believe it goes back to 1999 since Lilly has made these scholarships available, but it's a full ride scholarship to a university in Indiana. It could be a private or public university. And we thank them for supporting students across the state, but certainly congratulate Emma on that accomplishment. Also wanted to take a second to thank our principals who took time out of their day this week to ring the bell for our Salvation Army in our community. I know that's something near and dear to Mr. Parks' heart. His father, Elmer, was very, very instrumental in making that happen every year, so I know he appreciated seeing your pictures out there, and a great cause, of course, every holiday season, so thank our principals for that. Also wanted to just mention, we'll be working with our friends at Lilly to make some more formal announcements, but was awarded or communicated that they will be providing the district a donation of $10,000 to help equip our elementary STEM programs to purchase robotics kits. Recently, when you approved the master teacher contract, we provided additional funds in the ECA department, if you will, to have robotics and STEM clubs at our elementary schools. And this will be very instrumental in hopefully creating some robotics teams at our elementary schools and making that after-school activity possible for our students. So we'll be having some formal announcements, be looking for that in your communication, but did want to formally thank them for that donation this evening as well. And finally, just wishing everyone in the LCSE family happy holidays as we get ready to close out the semester.
Thank you very much. Next, we have informational items, school construction and renovation update.
Yes, I think I'm going to kick it off this evening with just a little bit of a discussion. First off, we, as you know, recently broke ground on our new elementary, Central Elementary. If you drive by, I think you'll see some parking lots going down. We're starting to see some walls go up, and that's exciting, of course, to see. But of course, well, we need to turn our attention here toward the current Central Elementary School and just have a little bit of discussion about that, give the board an opportunity to ask us some questions around that if you have them this time. But just wanted to share that we will be continuing our engagement and conversation with Schmidt Associates in looking at some design options for that building. Primarily, we'll be looking at offering a pre-K offering for students in that building. We've talked about that publicly as well. So a portion of that building being dedicated to pre-K instruction. And then want to take a look and investigate the possibility of moving our administrative center or central offices to the other half or whatever portion of the building would be used there. As you know, we're continuing to grow as a district, grow in needs and personnel for administration. We're obviously a little limited in the space that we have within our building, and so we would have an opportunity now to redesign a space that might allow us to expand in areas of special education, human resources, or other needs that will emerge over time with our school district as it grows. And so we'd like to continue engaging with the architects and looking at the ways that that building could be utilized for that purpose. Then, of course, we would need to turn our attention to the current building that is the administration center. We've been talking to Mr. Meyer about potential uses for things such as an alternative program for our students. As an option, I've been reaching out to some other area superintendents about potentially partnering with Lebanon in that endeavor. That could be an ideal location to provide that type of an experience for our students who need that and need that transition and need some assistance in finishing that high school diploma as well. So I just wanted to have that discussion publicly tonight. We really haven't talked publicly about that, about what we're considering, and just give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. If not, we'll bring information as it emerges from our design team.
Do we have a time frame of when decisions might be brought to us in
Sure.
regards to that space?
Sure.
and
I don't
the
know how
alternative
long
school?
it'll take for the design, kind of, as you are aware, in all these projects, and it would be similar to our renovation projects where we would be working with the architects on some concepts, and we can bring those sketches to the board and talk about, how that space would be utilized. That can be done in a matter of a few months, really, in looking at options within that space. As we open our new elementary schools in 2025, kind of a goal would be for that 2026 timeframe. Obviously, we would need to finish the 24-25 school year with Central as an elementary school, and then you need to have the time to go in and renovate and make those changes. So the good news is we're moving into a new building, and so an unoccupied building, we don't have to get ready immediately. And we are certainly functioning in an administration center now, so we're really in an advantageous spot to be able to take our time, get the design right. But we'll also want to make sure we hit the timelines that are in statutes regarding moving out of a building and making sure that you're reusing it and repurposing it properly within that time frame. So I would say within a few months or several months, we could have some designs to talk about, and then scope, and that would kind of give us a little bit of a budget target, if you will, for that sort of thing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that's fair. This times itself nicely with kind of the rhythm that we found ourselves in with the renovation projects. Obviously, the elementary schools kicked off mid-year 2023. Middle school construction would then begin, as well as transportation, middle of 2024. And then, obviously, we would not disturb the students at the current Central Elementary, so the school year 2025 would of course end, and it really becomes a very attractive project for trade partners, because whereas we are working hard to keep our students safe as renovation is taking place in our occupied buildings, we would literally be able to turn over an empty building where they can make as much noise as they would want, and it would be a much faster renovation than we're experiencing right now due to the occupied nature of Perry Worth and Harney in these buildings that are, safety of the students is our number one priority, more so than the timing and the schedule of the completion of the construction project itself.
Do you have any other questions?
Look forward to the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll pick up now. I had a few informational items myself before I think we're ready to move on. Board, this evening I invited Jonathan Hagerty from Meyer Najum to really walk us through the budget for immediately the transportation facility, but really all of our projects that we have going on. When we think about the projects that we're doing, and the softball field, for example, that we just wrapped up, and happy to report that came in right on budget, and the word budget really is what we want to talk about. So with the bids that we will be presenting to the board for approval tonight for the transportation facility, I asked Jonathan to talk about unforeseen costs, and obviously we hope that these never happen, but the truth is they're inevitable, and that's part of the budget as well. Planning for unforeseen costs is a must. And there's really two ways to handle that within the contractual obligations. And so what I'll say so far is every bid that I've brought to you for the renovation that's gone on in this district, the numbers that I read to the board include a number for unforeseen costs that the contractors have been carrying. I'd like to thank Mr. Hagerty for pushing me in my thought, as that is really the only way that I've ever done construction projects before, is with the contractor holding the unforeseen cost money, or the allowance, as you'll hear him say. And so what he has proposed for the transportation facility is to bring those dollars to the owner side. And he'll explain more what that looks like right now, but really wanted to give the board an idea of not so much the number of the budget for the transportation facility. Obviously, I'll read that off tonight and share it, but the methodology and really the strategy that we're looking at for these unforeseen costs. So Jonathan, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about our strategy for these unforeseen costs.
Good evening. Thanks for having me back. I'm happy to help discuss this with you, the team here. So as Zach alluded to, is that allowance dollars and contingency dollars are what is put into a project budget as a whole for things that are unforeseen in a project, whether it be scope driven, or maybe it's something that you find that's unforeseen in the ground, like unsuitable soils, or maybe it's just such that the district as a whole says halfway through the project that there's allocation of funds available that you want to add another classroom or whatever it may be. The word I'm going to use tonight is agility, is what I'm proposing here by going from allowances to contingency. Allowances, as Mr. Dennis mentioned, are held by each individual trade partner. So, for example, tonight for transportation, I believe there was 9 or 10 bid packages or contracts that the district will be getting into tonight. Each one of those on the other projects would have a number associated with them for those unforeseen conditions and cost. What I am proposing to Mr. Dennis and Dr. Millman is that instead of having each individual contractor carry that and expose those individuals to know about it, you hold the lump sum as a whole in your court, and then you manage that as issues come up individually. There's pros and cons to both. I mean, we do projects all over the state with different types of construction, and we utilize both. But I think for these types of projects, the agility that contingency gives you, that at any moment you can spend it in the right place at the right time, and you're not also exposing those dollars to the contractor that may see benefit in telling you that there is a claim because they know there's funds available. This gives you that ability to hold that tighter to your chest and allow our project team to manage that on your behalf and report back to both Dr. Millen and Mr. Dennis and then to the board on a monthly basis. So the dollar amount won't change. So let's say that there was a $500,000 pot on the job and it was spread out between those contractors equally, $50,000 a pop. Now that $500,000 will be held by the district independent. The other thing this allows you to do is if you did have money left at the end, you're not having to write a deductive change order to somebody to get the money back. So not that they've spent it, but contractually it's in their court. And if you did want to make a change as an additional scope, you can do that at will. Or Perryworth would be a good example where we've had additional unforeseen conditions for steel with all the tie-in points of the classroom additions. Well, that pot was depleted based on some of the changes. Well, we can't just go from the steel contractor to the flooring contractor and ask the flooring contractor to pay the money to them. So we start having to pull money from one and push it to another. So that wouldn't occur under the circumstances of using contingency. And I know I'm using some fancy terms that may be unfamiliar to a few of you, so that's why I'm here tonight, to make sure that I put peace of mind to this slight modification to how we're managing your overall budget. Because the reality is, we're not tracking just the cost of the contractors, but we're also looking at your bond issuance cost, the furniture, the technology, and the very max number of dollar spend. We're tracking all of those costs. So this helps it simplify that on our end, and Mr. Dennis, who's managing that day in and day out with my project managers. So I'm open to questions.
Is there going to be any difference seen by this board on a monthly basis?
So
I
will admit that I will have to defer to Mr. Dennis a little bit, that an allowance usage results in a change order, but it's a $0 change order because it's money in and money out. A change order that uses contingency is a positive or a negative number. It won't be a zero. So when monthly reporting is done on change orders, there will be a positive number. But the thing I would like you all to know and trust is whether it's an allowance or contingency, we're logging that usage throughout the project. And from a financial health standpoint, we're tracking that against project completeness. So, for example, if we've spent 15% of those dollars to date, but the job is 30% complete, that gives us a reasonable point of view that we're tracking positively, that we're not overspending. What you look for is those key indicators. If you had spent 30% of contingency, but you're only 15% complete, you probably need to reel things back in. That's not been the case so far in any of these projects. We've had a great financial health on them, and we use our construction expertise along with our architectural partners to set these budgets day one. And I think we've had a track record of both on bid day that we've had favorable numbers come in. We're budgeting what contingency should be on each of these projects too, well before we ever get to bid day.
So I think what I'd like to add to that is literally what the felt change will be is our change order log every month has the potential to grow with transportation, because every change will be a change to the contract value, whereas with all of the previous projects, with the contractor held allowance, if a contractor's holding $50,000 worth of allowance and the change is only $10,000, that money was already held by the contractor and it was not an actual dollar amount change order. So again, as he mentioned, advantages and disadvantages to both, and again, very appreciative of opening my mind to this, to see you know, how it looks in practice for us, and I think it has benefits, especially for the transportation facility itself.
So if we're going to hold the money, are we able to invest that or not?
Well, so that's a great point. And when he says hold the money, in terms of the cash, we always have the cash. So it's invested with the Bank of New York or with State Bank right now, where it's sitting either with our trustee bank or our local bank here. So there is no money, cash that actually changes hand until a payment is made each month. So when he says hold the money, he's referring to it's in their contract number, not the actual cash itself.
Yep. Thanks for that clarification.
But also with that, we need to temper our excitement when we see the numbers from the transportation center, because there is not built an allowance to that. So the number is lower, but we know that we're holding aside budget. So I guess I'm just wanting to point out, we won't be excited or too excited when we see the number of change orders increasing. It's just a different way of doing things.
And it's worth noting
correct.
it's the same dollar amount as well. Correct. Whether it's owner held or contractor held, Meyer Najum would have told the contractors to hold the exact same dollar amount that we're going to hold on our end. It's just the contractors don't know that number now.
Yeah, and if you find it to be prudent or helpful, I mean, we present the math of that financial health statement I just told you. If that would be helpful, Mr. Dennis, I mean, we can make sure on a monthly basis when we're giving the change order log that you have that for each individual project, so that the board can be aware that, you know, we're 30% done, but only have spent 20%. So you guys have a general indication of what the financial health of the project is.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Second item in terms of informational, I believe Ms. Jones brought this up last month with the furniture. I believe the question was, we understand how we're going to get the new furniture, but how will we get rid of the existing furniture? And tonight I've invited Julie Hutchison from Relocation Strategies to explain her services, and quite honestly what those services are getting rid of the furniture that we need to get rid of, from where it needs to be gotten rid of, and when it needs to be gotten rid of. And obviously the board saw last month the amount of phasing that comes with the furniture. And so at this time I'd invite her to come speak to her company, Relocation Strategies, who they've worked with, and how this project will work. And during the action items tonight, I'll bring her proposal for the district to engage for her services.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am with Relocation Strategies, and our company's been around for 35 years. The owner, Melissa, has had the company for 17, and I'm the senior design project manager there. So I put together kind of a brief presentation for you guys on how, first, I guess, let me explain. I'll tell you about Relocation Strategies first, and then how we plan to decommission the existing furniture. So we offer, as Relocation Strategies, many services. We do space planning, interior design, and now we've added architecture. We partner with a architectural firm that's across the hall from us, so he can stamp our drawings. Project management, we do move and change management, and then also help with furniture selection, bid packages, RFPs, and then third-party vendor coordination. So just recently, we've started to do this new interior design service where we have one of our customers that we are redoing their whole interior bathrooms. So we've done everything from the construction documents to selecting the finishes and just the whole process. Some of the governmental agencies that we're working with or have worked with in the past is the Delaware County Justice Center, working on the Boone County Sheriff's Office right now in the jail. I've worked on the Hancock County Justice Center and the Hendricks County Jail, Marion County Justice Center, the Lawrence Police Department, Marion County Public Defenders and Probation Department I just helped with, and then also working right now currently with the Carmel Police Department. So a lot of government type jobs. And then we have partnerships with KI, who's supplying the new furniture to you guys. Right now I'm working on 2 city projects with them, which is Cranart Park and Frederick Douglass. Getting ready to do Grassy Creek next month. Do a lot of work at IUPUI and IU, and then the Convention Center. These are just some of the existing photos that I've taken when I did the walkthrough with Mr. Dennis to see what you guys had existing, so I could then send some of those photos out to some of the different agencies to find out, would you be interested, how much can you take, things like that. So if you just want to slowly go through those, basically just desks, obviously tables, student desk, chairs, library or media center type photos. So we will work with Meyer Najim, and we would partner with them to decommission the schools as they're ready, and I know that they have a very short time frame. So basically, when they say go, we're going to have to get in, when you see next, who we have to get in and get them in and get them out so that they can continue the process of the remodel. So our first and our favorite would be obviously Teachers Treasures. They've been around since 2002, or it was founded in 2002. And so they take in school supplies, furniture, many different things, and we've donated to them lots and lots of furniture. They do have a new, larger warehouse now, so they're able to accept quite a bit more than they had in the past. So that would be our first choice, is to donate to them so that other teachers in Marion County could use those desks and chairs and things and not have to pay, to buy new. So that would be our first choice. If we can't do them, we talked about doing some decommissioning through an auction house. And we have used them in the past, but now with the COVID's, they're kind of doing everything online, so they would want to keep it at your site. And I think you have too much stuff, and our timeline is just going to be way too fast. So I think this one may not work the best for us. And then there's Recycle Force. So anything that we cannot drop off at Teachers Treasures to donate, we would like to take to Recycle Force and have it recycled so it doesn't end up in a landfill. And then the last option, obviously, landfill, which is where we don't want to take the furniture, but so I have sent pictures, and I think it's just going to be the time of year and the amount of space that Teachers Treasures has, or if they know of anybody that wants the items. So that's kind of a TBD at this point, because it's still a little bit too far out for them to say, yes, this place wants this and this one. But they always want chairs. There's certain things they always want. So, at least a certain percentage of that can definitely go to them. So, did anybody have any questions?
So I know this is a not to exceed agreement.
Correct.
If there was determinations in terms of how things are decommissioned, whether it's, recycled, landfill, how is that decision ultimately made? Are you guys making that call in terms of, is there any guidelines that we provide in terms of we're wanting this to be the most cost efficient? Yes, we are on board with recycling unless it's going to be a certain percentage more than just dumping it in the landfill. Like, how's that determined?
So I think it's just going to be, we could discuss like what your first choice, your options are, but we're going to try to do as much teachers' treasures or donate to other schools as possible.
Sure.
Just given the timelines, though, that might be the, or we can only take so much or hold so much. And we really don't want you guys to like have to rent a storage unit or something, or somebody else. I mean, because there's a lot of logistics that has to go into it. So I think as we get closer to those dates and times, we'll know exactly what's coming out, and we'll have time in advance to search for those schools or places that need those items and try to get those all lined up prior to, and then if there's things left over, they say we can only take half of, these desks, then maybe the rest of the metal desks are going to have to go to Recycle Force.
Would it be fair to say that donations will be the most cost-effective? I know that you can't dump at a landfill for free, and so those costs would extend beyond the cost communicated in the agreement with Relocation Strategies, I realize is for your services in particular. So,
Yes.
In terms of the cost of actually removing the furniture, the donations would be the most cost-effective in your experience?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and so with my time too, would be just billed hourly. So if, if they come and pick up a whole thing and they want all of something and it just goes, I mean, that's not gonna take me much time to coordinate that, right? So it just depends on if it gets tricky and we're like in a rush and we gotta figure out, we
Right.
gotta call a bunch of different people or, try to figure out how we're gonna do it. I know that Teachers Treasures did say too that they have trucks, they can pick up certain items. So if we can coordinate that, that would be at no charge too. And that's what I'm after, is trying to get you the cheapest decommissioning service. So I would let them come get all the chairs, or, if we could somehow separate out the things that they would pick up, that would be free of charge. And then you'd only be paying for the hours the movers were taking other larger items places, so.
And we've had conversations with our own buildings and grounds staff to sort of an all-hands-on-deck situation, say, this is happening at Perryworth, having our maintenance staff stage all of the equipment to go right there in the front of the building, and that way the folks that are moving the furniture are just in and out and really spending as little time as possible at the school to make it as efficient as possible to decommission this furniture.
Yeah, if it's close to an exit and they don't have to push it, it will save a lot of time, so.
Based on your experience and
Uh-huh.
what you've seen we have in our schools, do you have a gut feeling of what percent might go to donations versus recycle?
I wasn't even trying to put her on the spot like that, Greg.
No, I've told
I mean,
Mr.
just,
Gunnis this before, like, I've worked with the IPS schools, and I'm gonna tell you that your stuff is so much nicer and so much better. So I know that there is a lot, I know they're getting new stuff too, but I think that there's gonna be a lot of like non-for-profits or teachers, places like that, that would gladly take your products, for sure. The only thing that I think of is the timing, you know what I mean? Like, can they accept it? Are they ready for it at those exact, intervals that they've got to go, so. And if it's free, sometimes they pay to store it for a little while, Like, we could drop it off to somewhere that they have to store it. They could keep it till they're ready for it. Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you so much.
Again, this is just part of our goal of establishing all of the elementary schools having, and every student, regardless of what elementary school they go to, having the same, the same level of excellence within the building as in regards to just the facilities as well. So thank you. Next, any other informational items?
I did have some slides to share with the board for the final renderings for the transportation facility. So in light of the bids that are forthcoming during the agenda later on, I did, if Mr. Martin can display these. We were able to share these with our drivers. Dr. Milliman and myself were at Transportation a few Thursdays ago for their monthly meeting. And we were able to take this information that Schmidt put together for us, and this is literally the facility that we're building. So it's kind of neat for the board to be able to see the facility as you'll be approving, hopefully, the bids later on this evening. So that's an overview of the site. We're in that northwest corner of the field, right by the middle school there. And the thing that really jumps out, I think, is the big green berm right there. And that, of course, comes from our acoustical study and the desire to respect our neighbors that are to the east along John Bart Road, but then also the tree line there that is going to visually protect the neighbors in Millerwood. What you can't really tell with this particular drawing that you'll be able to tell later is a 10-foot tall fence with acoustical fabric, and that's the actual audio break that will knock down the noise from the transportation facility. But what you see is 3 covered bays, so our drivers will no longer have to remove snow from their buses, and that may have received the biggest cheer of the day, or one of the biggest cheers of the day.
It was tied for the bathrooms.
Yes. You do see, this would be the cheapest time ever to really plan for the future. So what you see is 60 spots under canopy to the left, the 3 areas to the left, but you'll also see an uncovered area of another 20 parking spaces. This was the cheapest time to ever lay that asphalt down, and as this district grows, probably 20 years from now, we might have a need for those full 80 spots, but there will be 60 spots under canopy. Fueling station up to the north. This rendering does not show the connection to the middle school road, but buses that are going to leave for their route on the west side of the district would likely exit towards the middle school there and get into Lebanon, and then drivers that are heading into Whitestown would, of course, probably leave towards John Bart and then head over 150 to head south into Whitestown. So next slide, please, Mr. Martin. Rendering, it's a pre-engineered metal building is what we're building there. It's an efficient, cost-effective, durable building, two-tone, some landscaping there. Next slide, please. There's that fence I'm talking about. So you are in the yard right now looking out towards Central Elementary to the south there. So you're looking sort of south and west from there. Two dumpsters there that we'll have for the drivers to empty any trash from their buses after their route. Next slide. There are the canopies as well. Next slide. Now you're looking at the plan for the building itself. Kind of the peach color would be our administrative suite. The green area is dedicated to the drivers. They've got a lounge. We actually have a meeting space now. Dr. Milliman and I had a meeting in a garage with the drivers a few Thursdays ago, and we had to haul out a screen and a projector, and that will just be there now, mounted on the wall. And then the blue area is our mechanic space, so room for 4 buses to be worked on at the same time, and then a wash bay to the left. Again, it's crucial to keep our buses clean, not just for the aesthetics and the appearance that promotes for our district, but also, especially as we're getting into this time of the year, the Indiana State Police Department is not forgiving whatsoever for rust on buses. So to be able to have access to, it's $45 a wash right now to take our buses to the truck wash. That's how we're washing them. But to keep that salt off the bus to prevent
Mentioned
corrosion.
something about that space too, in the mechanics bay. We'll be able to access all the fluids from a fluids room now, so that will all be coming from overhead, so it should be much more safe and efficient. The head mechanic will have an office space dedicated, but also a terminal, computer terminal out in the maintenance bay. So if he needs to order materials, check inventory, do those types of things, he'll have computer access in multiple locations. We put in a welding hookup on both ends of the bay now, so he doesn't have to drag the welder across that bay, so he'll have some ability to go on both sides. So we really put safety and efficiency into this design as well.
If we can continue through, we can probably go a little quicker now, Mr. Martin. Just there's the admin space. That's right when you walk in. You'll have that. That's from the inside looking out into there's our driver's lounge. So drivers will have a space to congregate, meet.
I just want to point, I mean, I know we talked about lounge, but that will provide such an opportunity for trainings and other things as well within that facility.
We don't have a space like this district, other than these rooms right here, the Wells Center. I mean, in fact, Dr. Miller and I were speaking today about having meetings here. If Wells, because there are times where the Wells rooms are just booked, and there's nowhere else in the district to have this sort of meeting. But pitch-ins and things like that, there's countertop space for the drivers and computers as well and phones, because right now we either have to have them go into Becky's office and fight over her one phone to call parents or whatever the case may be, and now we'll have that. Little kitchen area here for them to store their lunches, heat their lunches up should they be staying for the day, and that's a good look at our transportation facilities. So happy to bring these bids to the board during the action items later today, but did want to show the renderings that Schmidt provided.
And I do just want to ask Mr. Haggerty that he's going to guarantee that the nice flowers are going to look exactly like those renderings, right?
Those 100-foot trees are going to be there.
Perfect, okay. Good to know. That's going to be in the meeting minutes, right? We're going to take that commitment, so.
How much contingency will it take to plant a 100-foot tree?
I had to do it, sorry. Next item is consent agenda staff matters. Dr. Millman.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. For your staff matters this evening, under our classified staff, I'm asking for approval of new hires 358 through 366, resignations 367 through 371, and one termination, number 372. Under certified staff matters this evening, asking for approval of a maternity leave, number 95. New hires, numbers 96 through 98. Two resignations, 99 and 100. And retirement, number 101. We'll note to the board that the retirement 101 is Kelly Salmon's retirement as principal from Hattie B. Stokes Elementary School. Also asking the board's approval of the severance agreement connected to that retirement this evening as well. And obviously thank her for her many years of service to the students and families of Lebanon schools over the years. Want to then move on to our ECA for this evening. Asking for approval of new hires, numbers 343 through 353, resignations 354 through 356, and a returning hire, number 357.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the items as presented by Dr. Millman on the consent agenda staff matters?
Yeah, I'll move to approve under 6A, 6B, and 6C as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Clauser. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison seconds. Do we have any additional questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have business matters consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. As always, our year-to-date summary of our budgeted funds, as well as a comparison to the exact same time last year. And as Mr. Haggerty alluded to in his presentation earlier, I did include the financial health of all open projects that we have in the district. That is the level of detail that I receive monthly as Meyer Najum submits the contractor's billings. A lot of numbers, but basically the exact financial health of the project itself for all of our open projects in the district right now. So prior to reading claims, happy to answer any questions regarding the financial update as presented.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Hearing none, go ahead and read the claims for the month. So claims 58969 through 59134 in the amount of $3,540,182.86. Two payrolls for $2,479,706.89 for a total for the time of $6,019,889.75. Thank you very much for your approval.
Do we have a motion to approve the claims for payment and payrolls as noted perfectly by Mr. Dennis?
Except Mrs. Beltran has reminded me that 3 payrolls, not 2.
Three
So
payrolls.
Almost perfectly, I guess.
I'll motion to approve.
Mrs. Jones, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have comments from the public. Nobody has signed up. Now we'll move on to action items. Action item A, Mr. Dunshee. And this is the approval of LMS course description guide.
Generally, I try to set a record up here by going less than 30 seconds. It may take more than 30 this year. I apologize in advance for that. Really only 3 changes, but the first one's kind of a bigger one. We're going to remove the honors label and grade weighting from our algebra in the middle school. I've been talking with Mr. Meyer, and I can blame him or thank him or something along those lines for this. It's an accelerated pathway already, and it is really the only subject where we've accelerated. We've had discussion about acceleration in science. You know, do we try and get kids so they're ready to get biology out of the way by the time they're in 8th grade, or do we do some other things? So down the way, we may do that. But just in the nature of itself is, where do you get the advantage by being accelerated to Algebra 1 as an 8th grader? You can take more math, and you get opportunity to take more grade-weighted courses. So the grade weighting advantage is going to come on the other end. It's not going to come on the front end. Our discussions have just been algebra is algebra is algebra. What you took as algebra in your day, back in the day, maybe once, maybe twice, I don't recall. So when you took that, it's the same course. Same one that I taught when I started here 25 years ago. So why are we bumping this up to something that it's not? So trying to get a good foundation of that. We're also going to open it up to more kids by not having it be in the honors pathway. We're going to try and see if there's some kids that are maybe your fringe kids, hard workers, maybe not gifted and talented types of kids, but can maybe take the algebra a little earlier as well. Opens up a lot more opportunities when they get to the high school for different electives they can take. They can get into some pathways, some CTE things, whatever it may be. So it's just going to open up some other avenues that we haven't done in the past. So I'd say that's probably the biggest change as far as what we are currently doing. The other 2 changes, as you'll see in there, we're adding design and modeling and automation and robotics. You've already heard robotics being talked about. There's actually 2 courses that are taught. They're under Project Lead the Way. We currently do medical detectives, computer sciences for innovators and makers, and app creators is the third one that we currently do. We have Megan Alexander teaches those 3 courses. We're looking to add another person to teach additional courses, and adding in design and modeling, which is mainly a 6th and 7th grade class. And then the automation and robotics will be an upper level class now. But as we feed the kids coming from the elementary that have already been exposed to robotics, we're looking at creating that and taking that whole team concept that the elementary is starting and building that into team competitions at the middle school as well, and then going on to the engineering and engineering design courses that they take at the high school. So that's the rationale for adding those courses in. A little more electives. We have a lot of kids that take study halls, mainly because we don't have places to put them. There's not things out there for them to take. So this opens up our abilities for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students to take more electives. So those are the additions that we have at the middle school.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Donchi.
Questions?
Do we have any questions before? No? Sounds great. Yeah, exciting changes it is, and looking forward to civil engineering being, and construction engineering being a part, right?
Absolutely.
Eventually, right? Do we have a motion to approve LMS course description guide as presented by Mr. Donchi? Ms. Hutchison, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Dungy. Next, we have approval of LHS course description guide.
Mine's a little more complicated than his. I want to first of all thank you all for having me here tonight. This is the first time the first time I've spoken directly to you, but really only the second time I've engaged with you since May, when I was appointed principal at Lebanon High School. And I can tell you it's been a great 7 months. I made the best decision ever, and I think you did too, in coming here. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I think we've got some great things planned academically for our kids, which will actually lead to success on the field. I mean, we just saw a great Madrigal there. That's the third time I've seen them, and they get better and better every time. And I look forward to hearing how they do in the community on Thursday. So that being said, I guess I'm in charge of this, aren't I, here? All right, so there are really just two sections here we're looking at. Most of the changes you see on your sheet, it has to do with CTE courses. And the reason there's so much change is, like my 16-year-old girlfriend, the state is fickle. The State Board of Education doesn't always know what direction they want to go. They change a lot of things with CTE. And so I think they finally started settling in with the next level pathway studies. And we have taken out a lot of things that are no longer applicable to our students, starting with the cohort of 2025. So that's next year's seniors. So these Perkins 5 pathways won't apply beyond, so we've taken them out. The next level pathway courses are moving into prominence here, and 3 that I really want to focus on with you is principles of teaching. As we know, this is one where any teacher with a license can teach this class. Obviously, we want a high-quality teacher to do it. We want someone who's kind of a cult of personality, understands what makes a great teacher, how those relationships are built with kids. That is a new pathway for us, and it's a very important one because, as you know and have heard, it's hard to find teachers now, and our profession's maligned a little bit, and we need to fix our own. So the next one is the biotechnology pathway. That is kind of a creation of, well, it's not a creation, but it's we brought it because of Lilly, to be candid with you. They say kids can get through this pathway, come to us and have a job. And in 4 years, when, large elements of this project are complete and these kids are graduating, they're going to walk out of here making $25 an hour at Lilly, doing whatever, keeping that money in our community, keeping our community strong. And Lilly wants that for us, and we want that for our kids. So this actually made a medical pathway that we had, a biomedical pathway, kind of go away because this is where it's at. So really important to see that. And then finally, our construction trades program is changing and evolving. And actually, we're outsourcing a lot of that to ABC Academy, which is right here in Lebanon. And I haven't been to the facility yet. It's not quite ready to look at, but I am excited to go. Kids are going to leave with apprenticeship level credentials, apprenticeship 1 and 2, and a year out of high school, they'll be finished with their apprenticeship 2 and really be able to take a job wherever, working with, is it Graybar? Right.
Gaylord.
Gaylord, sorry, I don't know why I said Graybar. Gaylord, and they're doing a lot right now. We actually have a student who is graduating, was at risk of graduating. We hooked them up with them, and he is now has a purpose and now knows exactly where he's going to go. And in April, when he turns 18, he's going to be ready to go, and he's going to be fully employed. And 6 months ago, he didn't think that was possible. So that's pretty exciting. That's just one out of 214 kids
You mentioned,
graduating.
too, that the biotech pathway, I believe, is tied into the Ivy Tech.
Thank
Dual
you.
credit courses, so not only students will be moving into, jobs that will be available at Lilly, but they'll have Ivy Tech credits under their belt, which is transferable, as you know, to any Indiana State University. So that will help them if they decide to move forward. And the ABC Academy is connected with Vincennes University, so the students not only will leave with apprenticeship 2, but they'll also have Vincennes University credit under their belt as well, which would also be transferable. So if the students do decide to move forward for their bachelor's degree, they meet people like Mr. Haggerty and say, I kind of like to do what he does. But he says, yeah, well, you're going to need to get a bachelor's degree to do that, at least. They're on their way, at least.
Yeah.
They've got a foothold with it. So,
Thank you, Dr. Millman. That segues very nicely into the next slide. Whoops, I've got it upside down. We're adding several AP courses, and not really adding, making some adjustments, a couple. We are adding AP Psychology, which, full disclosure, did not make it into the book, the full packet. We're adding that in. It just was overlooked. So that will be in there with its course description in the course guide. AP Computer Science Principles is being added. We're removing Computer Science 1 and putting that in. That is a great introductory class for kids sophomore age who finished algebra, maybe some freshmen who have finished algebra from 8th grade, to get into computer science. And as we look at the referendum and the promise of STEM and the resources we're putting toward that, this is really the best place for them to start and get those kids who are interested. The reason we know this will be successful is College Board provides a tool called AP Potential, and is based on student performance on the PSAT. And looking at our 10th and 11th graders and AP Potential, we have 153 kids who are eligible or who would do well in an AP class. And it'll designate maybe AP Literature, maybe AP Econ, AP Computer Science. Of those 153, 109 of our kids are eligible for this computer science principles class and would be successful. So we're pushing kids toward that. We want to get them into that, especially those math-minded type kids, and even some of those kids who aren't math-minded, who are just interested in what they might be able to do with their creativity. So a great opportunity for them. Other changes, we've made honors economics, AP microeconomics. That will only be a semester long. I'd love to have macroeconomics. I just don't think we're ready yet. That one's hard. My own son had a hard time with that in high school and then retook it in college and had a harder time. So it's a tough one. So micro is, your supply demand kind of stuff. It's pretty basic. Everybody has gone through that, but we're ramping up the rigor a little. We're also replacing AP World History, replacing AP Euro History with AP World History. And the reason we're doing that is our freshman level class, World History, will segue into that a little better. It'll be prepared. Kids will be more prepared. Also, it'll allow for some of our non-honors World History kids to get into that AP class. So we might have sophomores possibly taking 2-3 AP classes. And the reason that's important to me, and the reason why it's a good segue, Dr. Millman talked about those dual credits with the CTE courses, is because I want to raise our honors diploma levels. I looked at the numbers this week, and this last year we had 45% of our kids getting a technical or academic honors diploma. Before that, it was about 40% every year for about the last 5 or 6 years. I went back to 2016, and it was right about that threshold. I believe we have the constituents that we can get that up to 60% easy. And to me, high school is not about career or college. It's about the opportunity for either. And while I went to college, I am in a career, right? As are you. So there should be no designation. It should be just about giving those kids the opportunity. And the more rigorous instruction we can give and classes we can provide, the better off they'll be to have those opportunities. Dr. Daggett says to us that kids now will have 6 or 7 careers. Why make it so difficult on them with just pigeonholing them in one area? So give them a more well-rounded education. And then finally, AP Government, we're going to move from 1 semester to 2 semesters, simply because kids aren't successful when they're done in January. We might struggle a little in our microecon because that'll only be a semester, but we'll figure that out. I think that about covers it. There's a lot there. Talking with Mr. Dunshee, he's on the same page as helping prepare kids so we can get them into physics. Eventually, we don't have a physics class right now, don't even have a physics teacher. And that hurts my heart, even though Mr. Hannock punished me in my junior year in high school. It was a class that really taught me how to think. And so we are adding a physics honors course so that kids who are high-performing sophomores and or juniors can get in there and then eventually get into that AP Physics. So, any questions?
On the computer science, did you say that was going to be for sophomores?
Sophomores through seniors can take that.
Okay. And is there any enhanced beyond the computer science, that initial program? Is that
Sure.
something where we have more
There's,
opportunity?
so the next course in the sequence is actually AP Computer Science.
Okay.
That's it, right? So it goes, this is kind of a survey course, and then it starts getting a little finer. And then the third level of that, which we don't offer yet, because we just don't have the constituents for it, is cybersecurity.
Okay. So not necessarily diving into actual different coding languages and things like that?
No, they'll learn a little Python. It's going to be a lot more about logic and,
Okay.
you know, moving things around to create something.
Gotcha. Cool.
And it's also a project-based course, so their AP exam has a small written portion, but really, they're creating something for the AP exam.
Exciting changes to see.
Real
and
exciting.
thank you for bringing just fresh eyes, right? It's great to,
Absolutely.
One other real quick.
No problem.
And as agribusiness management goes away, is that being incorporated into any other classes within the ag program?
It will go into, it will become a part of the, you know, I don't know, I can't speak specifically to that, but I know that it is, I'm a city boy, so the agri-science is not my thing, but I will tell you that it is, we are looking at, those kids are kids who are going to take the principles of business. They're going to, we actually are pushing our freshmen to take 2 principles classes to get them into pathways and get them out of study halls so that they have opportunities to go in 2 different directions. So that's probably, I could see a kid who wants to take agribusiness being in the intro to principles business and principles of ag. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the
Thank you.
LHS course description guide as presented by Mr. Meyer?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clauser, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Jones? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next, we have request approval of classified staff stipend. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. As a reminder to the board, this Friday in this Friday's payroll, we have the Teacher Appreciation Grant going out to our teachers. That is revenue from the state of Indiana, not our cash balance. But when able, the district has historically also had an appetite to provide a stipend to the remaining certified employees and classified employees. So in front of you tonight is a memo that would be ready to be sent out to our building leaders to be distributed to classified staff that outlines a stipend that is analogous to the Teacher's Appreciation Grant for those that don't receive the Teacher Appreciation Grant because they're not teachers. So happy to answer any questions, but would respectfully request the board's approval of the classified staff stipend for 2023.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the classified staff stipend?
I'll vote.
Mrs. Jones, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a request of cancellation of the state-dated checks prior to December 31st, 21.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. The state of Indiana mandates that governmental agencies cancel all stale-dated checks as defined as checks 24 months or older. So with us doing this in December, this would be any check dated prior to December of the year 2021. Both the ECA ledger as well as the general ledger, and these balances must then revert to the ledger that they were written from. So asking approval to cancel these stale-dated checks that have not been cashed by the recipients.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the cancellation of these dated checks as recommended by Mr. Dennis?
Motion.
Mrs. Hutcherson, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clauser. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of furniture removal services.
Yes, heard from Mrs. Hutchison earlier this evening, asking for approval of the furniture relocation services as presented in the board packet.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the furniture removal services for Harney and Perryworth schools with relocation strategies.
Motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a request approval for transportation center bids.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Prior to reading the Transportation Center bids, I do want to inform the board that there was another bid that was accepted this month that I will not be bringing to the board for acceptance. Meyer Najum has recommended that we reject the one bid that we received. This was for technology items at Harney Elementary, Perryworth Elementary, and the new Central Elementary. Quite frankly, one bidder participated, and it was exceedingly above what we had budgeted. The plan moving forward there is that was the one aggregate bid for networking, hardware like projectors, TVs, security cameras, things of that nature. The feedback that we received from our contractors is it's just too broad of a bid. So the plan moving forward is to readjust the scope and then break this out into more specialized bid packages that would be attractive to companies that may just do security cameras and wouldn't otherwise be able to bid on this. So we do have a plan for that moving forward, but did want to notify the board that we did receive other bids this month, but will not be bringing that to the board for approval. So what I'll be doing at this time, and I think this has worked well, and Mr. Parks, if it's okay with you, read each of the bids that I would be asking the board to approve, and then have one motion to accept all of them at the end. I do want to inform the board that we will be presenting all of the lowest responsible bidders, so no interesting situations where the non-low is going to be recommended. And I do also want to inform the board that there was one alternate for an ice melt system at transportation. And what that means is we have a lot more concrete sidewalk at the new facility than the existing facility. And this ice melt system or snow melt system would be essentially flipping a switch which turns on a boiler that's dedicated to a hot water system that runs under the concrete that are the pedestrian pathways there. This sounds like a fancy feature of the transportation facility, but what I will share with the board is there is no dedicated custodian at transportation. Ms. Nichols and her staff shovel snow prior to shoveling snow off the buses currently. This is also the facility that we need online on a snow day, so we don't have to make it a snow day. A day where there's been snow. This is a facility that we need online quickly, and so with the ability to reduce human resources to clear the snow, this feature would provide that opportunity. The bids came in for this at just over $400,000, which was just expensive enough for me to want to know more and speak with folks that have this system and are utilizing it right now. I have concerns about where, once the snow melts into water, where does it go so that it doesn't also then turn into ice in the new location. So again, it came in just agreeable enough, and the rest of the bids came in just low enough for me to explore this seriously, but I do realize that it is an undertaking there, so I'll be speaking with Purdue University, for example, has this at various locations on their campus, and so I would like to speak with them about what does this look like in practice, and so that could come. Alternates are good for 60 days, so I would need to bring that to the January board meeting if I want to move forward with those numbers as is. So that could be coming, but just wanted to share that. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and read this now. So bid package 1 was for site work. The low bidder was Millennium Contractors in the amount of $3,516,000 even. Bid package 2 was for asphalt paving. Low bidder was Baumgartner and Company, $1,078,879. Bid package 3 was actually a combo bid that was presented for both providing the general trades as well as the pre-engineered building itself, which was bid package 6. So as I continue to read, you will not hear bid package 6 because that's right now paired with bid package 3. Total amount from the winning bidder, which was Ferguson, $4,394,000. Bid package 4, drywall framing and ceilings, went to Quality Walls and Ceilings in the amount of $218,000. Bid package 5, flooring, Jack Laurie Group in the amount of $171,410. Bid package 7 for fire protection, Integrity Fire, in the amount of $94,920 flat. Electrical is Payne Electric in the amount of $1,689,000. And finally, mechanical systems was A.A. Huber and Sons in the amount of $1,676,000, we'll try that again, $1,676,472. The total of all these bid packages comes to $12,838,681. For the board's reference, going into bid day, we were anticipating bids of $15,619,127. So overall, the transportation facility was about $2.2 million under the estimate going into bid day. So as I mentioned earlier, with the $400,000 ice melt system, I referenced the favorable bids. Doing the ice melt system would still have us under budget, but again, further investigation on my part, and then a recommendation could be coming to the board in January. So with that, happy to answer any questions on those vendors, but otherwise would request approval of the extension of contracts to the named contractors.
But as noted before, the way we're changing of the contingencies, don't get too excited about that what seems to be, $3 million savings. There will be some contingencies held in there. It's still very good bids, but.
It is still fair to look at this, though, as we're starting off on a great foot, $2 million under what we thought would be.
Excellent. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the Transportation Center bids as presented by Mr. Dennis?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So, the amount that Mr. Dennis read off does not match the total that is on the, and why is that?
Oh, is it the summary page?
Yes.
I apologize. That's due to the wrong number for A.A. Huber and Sons. I forgot to include our air handler, which is of course necessary. So I apologize. It's the number for A.A. Huber, which on the paper, not the recommendation letter, I will say, but on the paper that I prepared for the board was $1,353,472. The difference to make $1,676,472 is the air handler that I forgot to add in. We need one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion then to approve the Transportation Center bids as read?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clauser, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of change orders. Mr. Dennis.
Yes, Mr. Parks, our standing monthly item of approving the change orders for the month, as you can see, spread across all of our projects, less Central Elementary, but respectfully request the board's approval of the change orders as presented.
Do we have a motion to approve the change orders as presented?
I'll move to approve as presented.
Mr. Clauser. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval to increase sub-nurse pay.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Just really need to present to the board really an oversight for the past few years. Sub-nurse pay was always intended to be step 5. As the nurse pay scale has increased over the past few years, we have held the sub-nurse rate at what step 5 was approximately 4 years ago. So our sub-nurse pay has not been growing with the nurse scale. So just want to bring that to the board tonight, requesting approval to compensate our sub-nurses at step 5, whatever that may be on any given year, and that would be $27.65 for next school year, or sorry, next calendar year.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the increase to sub-nurse pay?
Motion.
Mrs. Hutchison, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Jones. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of supplemental pay. Dr. Millman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parks. Mrs. Boyette and I both lament the fact that we had several sets of eyes on the master teacher contract, including the extracurricular pay schedule. And on that, the middle school listed 5 department chairs, and that should have been 6 to include the guidance department chair position, which has traditionally been a position. So Mr. Dunshee took blame for that too as well. So this is supplemental pay to make up for something that the board has been compensating in the past, as well as a pay for the Builders Club at the middle school, which has been a popular position there. That pay aligns with the High Y Club amount. So because it's absent from the ECA schedule, I'll be bringing it to the board this year and next year, and then we will correct that in the master contract moving forward. But asking to provide this for our staff in positions that would traditionally be filled.
All
Want to
right.
make sure we're doing it above board and correctly.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve supplemental pay as noted by Dr. Millman?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clausen? Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks? Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Somebody's ready to get out of here.
Was that you or me?
I think the motion.
Called following the leader. Keep it going, don't line.
I think that is 4 ayes, so, right? Yeah, there you go. With that, motion carries. Just note of upcoming board meetings, events, there's several actually. Winter break coming up, starting on Friday. We have January 8th, professional development. No students will be in class January 12th. We will have a reorganization meeting right here in the community room at 7:30 a.m. January 15th, we'll have MLK Day, no school. January 16th, regular board meeting right here as well. With that, I wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and